Smiling, you have also joined in. How are you? I hope you're doing well.
I am Sandeep NV. Thank you. Akash,
So,
hello again.
you have been listening to the conversation. I think this is something that you completely resonate with, fascinated by.
Actually, I was trying to gain, I
So,
guess,
I have
different
also put a
perspective
link.
because.
I've also put a link on the top. If you
Mhm.
want to just navigate through a bit through that, it will give you some base, some foundation. But if you allow me, I can just tell you that proxemics comes from the word proximity. The proximity can be in a physical manner with a person and can also be in a like the thing that Pratik was mentioning, that from a linguistic aspect, how the proximity gets created. That's a very interesting point. So that also, or the
Actually,
proximity through the emotions that you feel towards a certain person with regard to the vibe or the aura that they're showing. So it can be both in a tangible and intangible manner.
now that's the weird thing because in all my years of, experience with that topic in a professional academic aspect, apparently this is something new that I learned today about proxemics. That though I always knew the origin of the word comes from proximity, which refers to the distance between objects. But to see someone translate that or imbibe that with the aspect of uh, language distance, or rather the distance of a person who's speaking a language in comparison to the geographical location where that language originates from, is a new angle which I am appreciating, and I'm grateful to Pratik for bringing it up, and I acknowledge the fact that it has been understood and acknowledged very well by you as well as Sandeep. Well,
Also, you can
so
say
far I've heard
thanks
you.
to Sandeep, because Sandeep is the one who has got this topic. He's the one who thought
Mhm.
about the topic. You can give that thanks to Sandeep majorly.
Done then. Sandeep, thank you for this because very few people see. When I was in the university and my responsibility in a professional capacity, now I guess that is a social aspect which can also be included in a professional capacity or academic one. How the origin of a language which is used to communicate can be, how do I say, understood by this term, by this topic. However, uh, I initially always observed communication in two branches, verbal and non-verbal. And proximity usually always I associated with the non-verbal communication, not the verbal communication. So I'm not sure how appropriate or prepared, I mean, the listeners are on that topic before I divulge something on it.
Yeah, we
You
have
think it's safe
discussed
and
a
I
lot
can
on that.
mention it?
We have shared a lot of experiences. I think people are already aware about it. You can share your
Hmm.
experiences from your own life with regard to the concept of proxemics or
Okay. So, in the field of category of non-verbal communication, uh, the way that I've always understood and related proxemics to it is in improving one's communication skills is by being observant of the physical space that is occupied by individuals when they gather socially, right? Or in a social environment where they gather, when they meet, then the physical distance which is observed, we it allows us to then, using this distance, understand relations between the people engaged in a conversation. So depending on how physically close they are to each other, we can understand whether it is personal, social, or a professional capacity in which people uh, relate to each other, on which capacity. And yeah, so it is not only the distance but even the position, in fact, which can be observed and which has been used in multiple cultures. Uh, let me explain one insight which I had. It is a personal observation and understanding which I developed, not necessarily which is very common and popular. There was this one movie which I'd seen. It is a Chinese movie, and it has a historical significance because it is based on true events, where the first emperor of China, it's his story, and the only successful assassin who was able to infiltrate the Forbidden City with an attempt, with a desire to take the first emperor's life. And in that scenario, when this person is brought in front of the assassin, who is currently pretending to be a soldier in the army, the lowest soldier, how do we say, rank of soldier in the emperor's army, and he has earned the right to be seated in front of the emperor and have a cup of tea with him. And that was his ploy to try and get close to the emperor. And the little space that is left between the emperor and the assassin in this huge hall right in the center of the Forbidden City, there are some lamps which are placed with flames that are flickering on the lamps. So they are lit, and easily you have at least 100 candles laid out between them, arranged, geometrically. And the design of the space is such that the closer that a person gets to the emperor, the ability of the emperor to gauge the honesty of the person whom he's interacting with improves, since the tool which is used to gauge the honesty of a person by the emperor are the candles that are placed between, him and the audience. So obviously, the closer that the guest is to the emperor, or the visitor is to the emperor, the stronger the effect their presence has on the candles between them. And it is by studying and observing the movement of the flames on the candles, these, not candles, but Hindi mein hum unko diya bolte hai, right? Lamps. So that was a very interesting concept of the use of space between people to communicate, to gain clarity in communication and confidence in communication by a skilled conversationalist who is very much aware of his surroundings and the effects that communication can have on his surroundings. So yeah, that is something that I can, in this short period of time and initial moments in this room on this topic, that I can share for now. Yep, thank you for that.
Interesting, Smiley. That how they had showed this in the movie, and how you have put your thought towards it, and how you are reflecting on it. But as the person is going close to the candles or the flames of the lamp, the aura is creating some flickers, and which is making the king aware about the nature of the person, and this is happening because of the decrease of the proximity to the king. So this is the power of proximity. Very interesting.
A new, unique, application that I found of this understanding and knowledge when it came to being aware of this topic as part of communication skills. So yeah, thank you for this opportunity. In fact, to be honest with you, this is the first time that I've voiced out this observation and analysis of mine. So whenever you voice out your thoughts, even the space which the thoughts occupy, whether it's external or internal, it brings more clarity, more confidence, and better understanding of the topic when it moves from within yourself as a thought and becomes words which are vibrations, in the space between you and the listener. it it just somehow becomes more clear and better to understand.
And when that
So that's
happens,
another one which I just realized.
the proximity between the speaker and the listener, it starts decreasing.
Yep. At least the non-tangible one.
Let's keep it to the non-tangible one
For
only.
now. I mean, if you want to go start reaching tangible part, then oh my gosh, that's where you'll have to bring in someone younger
But
who is
Sandeep
more
was
attuned.
mentioning before you joined in, Sandeep
Hmm.
was actually mentioning the tangible part. So
Hmm.
proxemics was actually mentioned by Edward T. Hall, and he has
Hmm.
given four spaces.
Hmm.
One is an intimate space, which
Hmm.
normally you have with your partner, where the personal or the physical
Hmm.
or the haptics. Because yesterday we
I
were
think so. It's
discussing the
an arm's length, if I'm not mistaken, approximately somewhere to the distance of
yes,
1 meter.
yes. Not even like inches, it's even in inches.
Inches. Oh yeah, actually, you're right. Inches, where it is very easy for physical contact to be established.
Yes, yes. And also, in this, normally what happens is that it's an intimate space. So when you are in a very intimate space, you
Hmm.
are completely in connection with that person over there.
Yep. That's how
Then
intimacy. That's one of the definitions or understanding of intimacy.
intimacy means you are in a proximity to the person. That's why
Yep.
you are
Yep.
creating that intimacy within you. That's why it's called
Hmm.
intimacy.
Yep.
And the second one is more about the personal space that a person has which regards to their inner circle, how many people they interact with. Like Akash, one of my friends, he came and he mentioned something very interesting where he said that we are the sum total of five people we interact
Oh
with.
yes, very true.
So that itself is a public like a public space of mind or a personal
Social.
space of mind, my personal space basically,
Okay.
my
All
personal
right.
space of mind where these five people are someone who are from my personal life.
Hmm.
I am affected by them and they are affected by me.
True.
Then
True. I've heard that before.
yeah, and then comes your social space where you are going in the society, and it normally is somewhere in 4 to 12 feet. That's one of the reasons that 6 feet was decided as the COVID social space.
Hmm.
And when we
True.
go for public speakings and all, it's normally 12 to 25 feet. Yeah, away from the person.
Yes. So
So
yeah,
this
the
is the
physical
power of
space
proxemics.
and social circles of people who uh, can be a part of your inner circle or personal
Yeah,
space, as you said.
yes,
That is actually very true, and that's why I guess they say that choose your enemies wisely, but be even wiser when choosing your friends.
yes. They also say that keep your friends closer, but your enemies closer to you.
Even closer.
Yeah, even closer. So that means you are decreasing the proximity with them, or you are creating an illusion of control, which
Yes.
in influence, which was mentioned, the illusion of control was mentioned by Sun Tzu in The Art of War, where he said that create an illusion of control where you make the person aware that you are close to them, however you are not.
Mm-hmm.
So till the time the bubble is not getting broken down, you can just like be a leech and you can suck all the information out of them. Then you can leave them as a cactus, and then you can break their bones.
So, in fact, that is also the concept or the knowledge which is used, I think so, by the magician when he's trying to perform his tricks.
Yes.
On how close and where does he space, the distance and the space, the direction in which he keeps his audience for him to be able
Yes.
to do his trick.
Also one thing that the magician normally uses is the concept of misdirection.
Uh
So
huh.
if he, it is basically to redirect or misdirect your awareness.
Mhm.
So when someone is doing a card trick, they are doing a lot of misdirection with regard to the hand movement, because a lot of
Mhm.
card gestures they happen through the hands. So they will try
Yep.
to put this is one of the reasons that whenever a magician comes on the stage, there's a sexy girl who is next to him, so that the attention of
Yeah.
the audience it goes towards the girl, and
Very
they're
true. The
wearing
assistant
some
is
very
always
skimpy,
someone who's very
yeah, they're
attractive.
wearing very skimpy clothes and all, some lingerie
Mhm.
type kind of thing. Why?
Mhm.
So that it can create a misdirection. Even pickpockets use this a lot as a misdirection. if they want to grab your wallet or any kind of a thing from you, they will create in this direction of contact. It was even shown in one of the French movie I saw, Pickpocket.
I think so. That was very clearly evident even in Now You See Me.
Now you see me, exactly.
Now you see me too. Yep.
Yes.
So yes, Proxemics has always been a very conscious, deliberate, and how do you say, a pivoting factor which decides the course, nature, purpose, and result of communication and interaction.
Even yesterday you were not there. We were discussing the POSH Act, Prevention of Sexual Harassment. So one of my friends here on Clubhouse, he has recently become the chairman of the POSH committee in Delhi NCR, and he's in the retail industry. So he came and he was discussing certain nuances of the internal complaints committee and how the concept of haptics comes into being. Because yesterday we were discussing haptics, which is more about the concept of touch.
Oh yeah, in fact that is what smartphones operate on.
Yeah, and touch will definitely happen only when you are able to come into the close proximity of the person, the state of thinking about in that particular close point of approach. So these were certain things that we were discussing with regard to the POSH Act, because POSH is more about creating a conducive environment for the people, or if somehow we are not able to create that conducive environment, by default it becomes a hostile environment where you go into that that personal space of the person, and then you might even touch them in a very inappropriate manner. So when the concept of proxemics starts decreasing, then the haptics might happen in the process. So that is how it directly correlated.
It is being okay. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of a full dive concept in the world of technology and entertainment. Full dive concept.
No, I'm not aware.
So there are special suits which have been designed, and helmets and visors, which will very realistically allow you to experience virtual reality. So that is also based on haptics. So say for example, you're wearing this special suit. How many of you have seen Ready Player One?
Oh, I see that. Yeah, I can.
You understood how they were using the suit?
Even something on the concept of Matrix, where they go into that virtual reality from the real world into the Matrix.
That is not haptics, because you see, that is the mind which is creating the concept and illusion of haptics.
But they have that helmet now on the head.
Yeah, so that is where the mind
touching their body.
No. You see, the helmet when it's touching, the reason why the helmet is touching the body is because the helmet is not a helmet actually. It's like a wire, like how we connect power adapters, to a device to charge it, right? Or data to transfer data from one device to the other. So it is not a helmet; it's a cable that connects the mind of the human with the virtual reality of the Matrix, which has been designed and created and programmed by the AI or the machines, as they say it. And that is direct mind-to-mind contact. It's basically, that's why they say that the Matrix is like a dream. Like how when you're in a dream, you're actually on a bed, and yet your mind creates the illusion that you may be running on the street and you wake up panting and sweating, which should not be possible because your body never actually experienced any external or physical exertion. It was only the mind which was creating that illusion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the Matrix. Now the full dive concept is a little different. So it is a visor which is not directly connected or hardwired to your brain and nerve center, but rather is an external suit which will vibrate. Like how when you hold a PlayStation console, like the remote in your hand, and if you're driving a car over a rough surface, then what happens? You can feel the vibration, right? So imagine if they have put those haptics or haptic feedback into a suit which you're wearing throughout your body. So say if you brush against or you lean against a tree or a wall.
In a
So that's
virtual
like,
reality environment.
yes. So in real, the suit will stimulate the pressure that you should experience on your shoulder as you're leaning on in the virtual
Oh,
world.
okay.
That again is haptics,
Yeah.
right? And that is also becoming. I mean, they believe it's the future of the entertainment. But imagine watching a movie with that experience,
That would
as
be
you feel
scary.
like you're part of the, your invisible spirit or ghost that is standing right in the middle. You can move around, the.
But it could trigger a lot of things inside people, because one
Oh,
thing is experiencing an experience from a dissociated position, another is experiencing an experience from an associated position. In NLP, we call it the concept of association and dissociation. So this one is
mm-hmm.
more of an associated or an immersive experience, I say.
Very true. And that is already what we are doing with these virtual reality, goggles,
Yeah,
and
gadgets and all that.
gadgets,
Oculus Rift and Hive,
Oculus,
HTC
exactly.
Hive.
So haptics is also very well integrated into the future of mankind and civilization, where technology is used to communicate and interact on a virtual level, to try and make it as real as possible.
So imagine a person playing a combat game
Oh,
wearing that haptic suit.
there are
Just the
movies which have
strikes
already
of
been
the
made.
blows on the body of the character, they will start experiencing on their suit.
Yeah, but it's just like a jolt. It will not be. Hopefully, it is not supposed to be anything
But
that is.
still, it might trigger a lot of
This is
emotions
permanent
inside.
damage. Oh yeah, yeah, it can. Anything. In fact, the same thing can be said about the car. That the way you drive your car and how fast you drive it and the kind of surface you drive it, it will affect your spinal cord because you're resting on it.
I remember I was watching a movie in a 5D space, 4D, 5D space, where while they were navigating through the jungle and there was a deep gorge, and while the characters were falling, they made the seat go a bit forward. So it
Oh
was
yes.
almost a sudden jolt, and I wasn't even
Again,
aware
haptics.
that, yeah, but I wasn't even aware that that's going to happen, and it just, because I was wearing the belt and all, it was fine, but still it it scared me.
Yep. It is just that you're not prepared for it. But like for
Yeah,
example, you sit on a roller coaster, right? You are prepared for it because you can visually see what is coming up ahead.
yes, yes. Actually, I wasn't aware because it was my first time, and I wasn't aware that in a 5D or 4D experience, they will actually tilt my seats in a certain manner.
That is haptics, and again, you see that is proxemics, where they have ensured that the visual representation that you have in that 5D, they have they've used the concept of 3D visualization
Yeah,
that will feel real. Again, it's the positioning of what the eyes are seeing, where they are
yes.
focused.
Even
That
while we are wearing those 3D glasses, if an arrow is
yes.
coming towards the character,
Again, it's
it,
proxemics being
it
used.
feels as if the arrow has just come right in front of your eyes.
Yes. So this is, I mean, nowadays communication is no longer just words and real. In fact, look at us. We are, though we are using our physical bodies to interact, but in reality, it is our smartphones, the speakers on them, which are creating the illusion that the person is right there next to us. It's just that we can't see that person.
Yeah, that is the power of voice.
And you can get so used to it that sometimes the people that you have always heard and never seen become more real to you than the actual physical presence of the people in the real world around you.
Beautiful. Because you have that element of mystery.
No, it's not a question of element of mystery. This is how the human mind, I think, has been designed. It's conditioned, We are a creature of habits, right? And habits determine our actions, right? They automatically determine our own reality because they are a product of our thoughts. And the way our thoughts are perceived, are how we relate to them, how important they are to us, how relevant they are to us, we start manifesting those thoughts in the form of actions and speech, which become a part of our reality. So, say that there's a person, for example, you're interacting with virtually, and your thoughts are, and that person is talking about thrill and excitement and joy that they're experiencing in some adventure they might be having somewhere or they had somewhere, and you physically start feeling energized yourself. Sometimes you feel that the thoughts which you're having after hearing the descriptions and the words which are being spoken, they energize you, they motivate you, they inspire you. You feel a physical change within yourself, rather than just an idea or a visual in your head. Sorry, did I lose the people there? This is, again, like I said, this is my first attempt, to try and explore so many different concepts and forms of proxemics and haptics.
But I'm glad that this topic is able to give you that perspective.
Oh, well, that's the beauty of, discussion.
Yeah.
And there was a reason why even the wisest of kings always ensured that he was surrounded by some of the wisest minds, or interactive minds in the world around him, because there's a lot more that he could learn from their conversations or being part of the conversations than just sitting alone.
Yeah, even Socrates used to propagate this thing called the Socratic dialogue, where he's like always asks those why, those how, and the what questions towards yourself. Because I can't train you, I can't teach you anything. I can only make you think. And if I can make you think, then you can think for your own self. You can do that brainstorming. You can create that cognitive map or mind map deep within you. You can connect the dots. You can come to a conclusion.